You're listening to the Fort Erie Podcast, your local source for upcoming events, hot new listings, and bite-sized interviews with business and community leaders. Here's your host, Brent Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of the Fort Erie Podcast, the season finale episode. It is Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, and I'm your host, Brent Jones. And today, my guest will be Dino Kentros, owner of The Barrel Italian Restaurant. And with all the takeout and delivery business The Barrel's doing right now during COVID-19, I mean, just driving by The Barrel and looking at the parking lot, you'd swear it's just open for business as usual over there. Anyway, looking forward to my chat with Dino. But first, let me start this episode by saying I am giving away a $50 gift card to The Barrel. It's going to be fast, free, and easy to enter, and I'll tell you how to enter at the end of this episode. So for those of you who are thinking about skipping ahead, don't skip ahead. Listen to the whole episode and you may be rewarded with $50 to spend at The Barrel. All right, let's cover a couple of local news headlines. First, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Greater Fort Erie Secondary School senior Megan Lewis has signed on to play basketball at University of Waterloo this fall. This comes after she fought hard to recover from an injury, a broken hand, giving her all that much motivation, all that much more motivation, I should say, to return to the game that she loves, play competitively, all the while preparing to study kinesiology this fall at university. Next, many of you may know local celebrity chef and YouTube personality Maddie Matheson. Well, the hometown hero is hosting a weekly event that some of you may have noticed called Maddie Matheson's Meat and 3, or Meat plus 3, I'm not sure. Either way, it's going on in the Kendale Products parking lot on Central, right by the bridge. And Maddie and his team are cooking up orders of ribs, fried chicken, coleslaw, mac and cheese, potatoes, and bread. And $1 from each order purchased goes to Women's Place of South Niagara. Social distancing protocols are in effect for order pickup. For details on this story, both stories, check out the links below in the show notes. And now on to Fort Erie questions and answers. Couple of new questions with answers I've got for you here. Anne asks, who does quick oil changes in Fort Erie? There were several answers, but the two most popular were Garrison Automotive Services, of course, on Garrison, and K&E Automotive on Dominion. Angela asks, or says, I guess, I'm looking for recommendations on Facebook groups for outdoor gardening or gardening for beginners. Two local residents chimed in and recommended the same Facebook group called Fort Erie Gardening Club, which of course you can search for on Facebook. That about does it for news stories and questions and answers I want to cover for this week. Now it's time to speak with Dino Kentros. Okay, welcome back. I am sitting down here with Dino Kentros, owner of The Barrel. How are you doing, Dino?
Great, you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate the moment to chat with you. Let me start first by asking you, what makes Fort Erie such an awesome place to live and work?
I think the Fort Erie is a great place because of its community-oriented demographic. I think everyone really knows each other and cares for what happens here in Fort Erie. So it makes it for a real nice environment.
Well, I'd say so. And I mean, your family's been here for a long time in this area, right?
We've been here since 1980.
1980. And how long has The Barrel been in your family? I mean, have you...
So we opened up the first Barrel in 1972.
Okay.
Our first one was in Richmond Hill, and then it was always family owned. And then we opened up 7 more locations. And Fort Erie is where my parents wanted to put down roots to raise a family, and it seems to be a great choice.
Now, are those other locations still in existence? Or
no, a few of them are in existence, but the other ones were closed in the 90s to make room for development.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know for some people listening, they maybe don't know what you look like. And from the first time I met you, I thought, this guy looks like he's like maybe 18 or 20. Like, I mean, how long have you been kind of manning the helm here?
I'm really 36.
Are you actually? Yeah. Okay, all right.
I'm 36. Thanks for the compliment.
You know, you're a young-looking guy. I mean,
But I've been manning the helm since 2006. I co-own this with my father, and we still operate together.
Gotcha. Well, for those people, say in this area or maybe even outside Niagara a little bit who've never been here, what should they really expect if they come here to have dinner on their first visit?
We really gear towards a family environment, and our staff is great. A lot of our staff has been here for a very long time, and we like to give like a more of a home style meal where people can get good value for their dollar and are going to get good service and feel like they know us.
Awesome. I'd agree. I mean, from all my visits here, I'd say so. Now, I have my personal favorites on the menu, but what are some of the most popular menu items here at the Barrel?
We have a lot of popular menu items. So all of our pastas and our pasta sauce is all made here. Our pizza sauce is all made here. Our dough is made here every morning. So we try to make everything that we can from scratch.
Right.
Some of the most popular ones are like shrimp linguine or our pizza. Our house pizza is a very popular item. I think you enjoy that one.
I do, yeah, I do.
And we also sell a lot of chicken wings. So we make chicken wings in a specific way where they're breaded, and then we use a sauce that we've been using since 1982.
It's kind of like the family secret sauce, eh?
Yeah, our pizza sauce and our chicken wing sauce, and the way that we make pizza, all the recipes are original.
Right.
We don't alter from those.
Nice. And are a lot of the ingredients you use, or at least some of them, are they locally sourced?
Yeah,
or?
Some of them are locally sourced, especially our chicken products are actually locally sourced.
Nice.
We used to use Pocomo Poultry, which was very local. Unfortunately, they aren't in operation anymore. So now they come from the Hamilton area.
Gotcha. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about the restaurant, but let's dive into kind of the rapid fire question round. And this is just a chance for listeners to get to know a little bit more about you, a little bit of trivia about Dino. So question 1, do you prefer Godfather or Star Wars?
I'll have to go with Godfather.
You will, eh? Okay. How many times would you guess you've sneezed in the past 7 days?
I don't know. Twice?
Do you like the word dapper, and do you ever use it?
Like Don Dapper? Yeah, I do use it.
Do you prefer big dogs or small dogs?
I'm not a dog person.
You're not a dog person?
No.
Interesting, okay. How many hours of sleep would you need to function?
5.
Wow, that's efficient. Okay, what's your favorite carb? Bread, pasta, rice, or potatoes?
Pasta.
I had a funny feeling you might say that. Do you prefer hard candies or fresh circus peanuts if you had to choose?
Peanuts.
Peanuts, why not? As you can probably tell, I didn't come up with a lot of these questions myself. Paper or plastic?
Paper.
All right. And do you have a favorite type of muffin?
Yeah. Banana blueberry.
Banana blueberry. Where do you get a banana blueberry muffin?
Mystic Muffin.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, that was the rapid fire round. You did pretty well on that. I think you got them all, man. No passes or anything. Well, I guess tying into some of these questions with pasta and muffins and certainly the Barrel, have you always had a passion for food? I mean, were you always cooking or in the kitchen in some way?
Yeah, I always had a passion for food. I grew up in the industry, and then I went to school for chemistry, and then I went to school for cooking. And so yeah, I've always had a passion for it.
Nice. Do you ever see a potential for the Barrel here to either expand or to have a second location, or do you see that happening, or are you going to kind of keep it focused here?
Oh, well, we keep it focused here. I do have 2 sister restaurants in Buffalo that I co-own with a partner of mine, but we're not doing like pasta and pizza. There we make homemade ice cream, and we make poutine. So we're the only poutine restaurant in the Western New York market.
Well, I'm going to put links to the Barrel and everything you guys are kind of up to below the show here in the show notes. But do you want to give a quick shout out? What are those Buffalo restaurants called?
One's called Allen Street Poutine Company, and the other one's called Hurdle Avenue Poutine and Cream.
Nice. Okay. So can you tell me a little bit about? You got somebody named Ida, I believe it works here, right? Tell me a bit about Ida, because she's got a bit of a legend, I guess, legendary following.
Ida's great. She is a staple here at the Barrel. She was one of the first employees that was hired here, and she's been with us ever since. So from the day we opened, and she's still here. She works 4 days a week.
Wow.
And she's great.
Is that unusual in the restaurant business?
I think smaller town restaurants, they do have a few employees that stick around for a long, long time. It's really nice. But I think that Ida's just really, really special.
Wow. Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for sitting down here and chatting with me, Dino. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
And welcome back. For the very last time this season, I get to tell you that it's time for another edition of
This Month in Fort Erie History, presented by HalfpennyDreadfuls.com.
The month of May 1791 saw over 120 land grant petitions submitted in Bertie Township. Some of the region's most familiar family names were among these requests for land. Requests were reviewed bi-weekly by the acting Surveyor General, who decided whether the petitioner qualified to receive a land grant from the Crown. It often took years for surveys to be provided by the Crown and the land to be registered in the new owner's name. In some cases, records show a span of 8 to 10 years between petition approval and survey registration.
And we're back. Folks, full disclosure, I had a lot of big plans for Season 2 of the Fort Erie Podcast. I'd come up with all these great ideas, many of them recommended by you, the listener, for new segments and old segments alike, Fort Erie questions and answers, local news headlines, real estate tip of the week, and even Fort Erie history. These were all things that weren't included in Season 1 of the show. Some of these things, though, that I had planned ended up getting cut due to the pandemic. For example, I couldn't very well report on upcoming community events like I did earlier in the season and in Season 1 because there were none. Everything was closed and canceled due to coronavirus. And even a segment like hot new listings each week, I felt it would be irresponsible on my part as a realtor to promote new listings, since my best advice all along has been to, wait to buy or sell your home if possible. So even some of the content I talked about with my guests had to get cut this season, such as promotions or special events or specific dates. Those all had to be cut out of the interviews since those dates were canceled due to COVID-19. Nonetheless, I do want to sincerely thank you, Fort Erie, for catching new episodes of the Fort Erie Podcast every week during Season 2. In total this season, I had 19 unique guests on the show, and without counting this final episode, listenership was up 64% from last fall, which I think is pretty amazing. A lot of new listeners checking out this show for the first time. So the big question today for the finale episode, I guess, is will there be a Season 3 of the Fort Erie Podcast? And the short answer is yes. I have every intention of bringing this show back this fall of 2020, with a brand new lineup of guests, and hopefully by then coronavirus will be long forgotten. So this, dear listeners, is where I can use your help. I want to know who you want to hear from next season. Who should I have on the show as a guest? Remember, I'm looking for folks who live and work in Greater Fort Erie. That includes Ridgeway, Crystal Beach, and Stevensville, people who are making a difference in our local communities. And in exchange for you nominating one or more individuals to be on the show, I'm going to give away a free $50 gift certificate to the Barrel Restaurant. You can use it for dine-in down the road or for takeout right now. It's totally up to you. All right, so here's how to enter. Access the show notes below this episode. So if you're listening on a standard podcast player like Apple Podcasts or Google Play or something along those lines, you'll find a link to the show notes below the episode in the description. If you're listening directly on Facebook, same idea. If you look in the caption that accompanies this video, you'll find a link to the show notes. Click that link and scroll down the page it takes you to where the Facebook comment section is. That's most of the way. You got to scroll down the page. Leave a comment for me with who you'd like to hear from this fall on Season 3 of the Fort Erie Podcast. In fact, you can nominate as many people as you'd like, and come next month, the start of June, I'll choose one lucky winner from those comments to receive $50 to redeem at the Barrel Italian Restaurant. It's that simple, as easy as that. Anyway, so long, Fort Erie. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I can't wait to kick off Season 3 of the Fort Erie Podcast this coming fall.
You've been listening to the Fort Erie Podcast with your host, Brent Jones, a sales representative with RE/MAX Niagara Realty Limited Brokerage. Follow @BuyWithBrent on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates. Subscribe to the Fort Erie Podcast on popular platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and catch a new bite-sized episode every week. Until next time.